People like to pretend that they can just have one-night stands without the emotional attachment, but sex is an emotional and spiritual act whether you like it or not. The more you do it with random people, the less intimate and special it will be when marriage rolls around. Like remember in Euphoria when Cassie was talking about abstinence and its benefits like, yeah, this ain't new information babes. If you're out here racking up numbers like it's a sport, don't come crying when people call you a slut or a whore, and let's be real, they're the same thing. It's funny how people will call others prudes for having boundaries or morals, but when it comes time to own up to their own sexual past, suddenly they're quiet as a mouse. Hypocrisy at its finest. Guys love to throw around terms like mileage or say, racked up, in the most condescending way possible, yet won't even admit to their own mileage. If you're out here shaming others for having standards, you might want to check your own weight limit first. It's so weird. It's like ever since we accepted it, things just got more complicated, and if you don't believe me, look at the people that have to get post-nut clarity to make sure they actually want to keep talking to someone to possibly get into a relationship like then having to advise people to wait till they know someone cares about them before they actually bed them like I'm sorry is shouldn't be new information like. And don't get me started on baby mama culture, there's so much to say about this that it needs to be its own separate thing. Like you don't understand the amount of poor children that will never get to have a proper father or paternal figure in their lives just because their parents didn't want to settle down before deciding to have one together, whether intentionally or not. Like the misogyny, racism, and lack of virtues present in this just baffles me beyond anything. Like why embarrass yourself for a man? There's no ring, it's a man. The fact that it's an actual decision maker is not only clown-like but disgustingly odious, for everyone. Men, women, non-binary folks, you name it. It's not cute, and it's definitely not healthy. The terms, girl boss, sexual liberation, for the girls, independent baddie, are still heavily influenced by the male gaze. The female gaze is still influenced by the male gaze, and it's worrying how a lot of girls genuinely believe they're not affected by it. If it's catered to women and if its only purpose is to be cosmetic, it's not actually there for the best interest of women. I don't think everything about sexual liberation is damaging, like feeling less ashamed of yourself, the concept of it. In practice it can go against the purpose, but the girl bossification of feminism has struck me as absurd. It heavily relates to working, being a corporate baddie, or something like making your bag, when I really don't see working as empowerment. The waitresses that can't make a livable wage without tips, the CEOs taking chunks of laborers' money, sex workers being denied rights, fast food employees facing abuse, none of it is empowering. Especially with the state of our system, and how many can barely afford to keep living. The thing is, most women are confident when men want them. This shouldn't be the case. You shouldn't be confident cause you're sexy or beautiful or good in bed cause that's what's important in the male gaze. You should be confident cause you work hard, you studied hard, you can do things, you survived another day in this cold harsh world. Our confidence shouldn't come from how desirable we are, it should come from how much we can achieve. Sadly, a lot of women thinks being able to twerk and expose your body is what makes up a strong woman. Feminism before is all about being able to work, now it's all about being able to work. An OnlyFans girl saying how getting to post provocative pictures is her form of female empowerment. And she meant it in terms of getting to express her sexual nature. Though I have nothing against people doing that, can it really be seen as female empowerment if the concept of sexy, as we see today, isn't even coming from a female narrative? It's based off of a man's idea of what sexy means to them. And this conditioning is so strong that as a soon 17-year-old I tend to naturally feel more confident when I'm wearing form-fitting clothes because I believe showing one's figure is deemed as universally appealing. Women and men both create beauty standards, there are different narratives though influenced by them. For example, black male rappers influence the bad boss be *** standard for black women, stripper-like outfits, long hair, heels. This style specifically caters to men's fantasies of attractiveness based on sex appeal and materialistic maintenance. Just another stereotype labeled under us. The influencer/it girl look were influenced by black women. Cosplaying different looks inspired by another female's reality, like the popular, high school or college girl, businesswoman, female rapper look. Basically a way for young black women to feel like independent bosses by benefiting from their own influence, and not having to attach their name and image to men for self-empowerment and status. These are the women who desire attention from men without openly seeking after them, that they want men to chase them instead of vice versa. Even when it comes to sexual liberation on its own, we still do it for men on the base of sex appeal. It's bothering and disappointing that as a society, we've conditioned ourselves as being sexy or one-night stand habits as liberating when we're literally falling into their hands. I'm playing them, I'm the one in control, okay sweetie, why don't you tell that to the multiple guys that will actively laugh at their friends or straight up prevent them from dating you because you're sleeping/talking to all of them at once? Same thing for guys, like, yeah, it goes both ways, sweetie. Which is why the fact that people didn't realize just how corporations caught onto the movement, which is what stopped the conversation before it became more nuanced. How you mentioned it became mainly about the corporate/capitalism side of things, completely distracted from more concrete conversations and actual actions to help continue the actual liberation of women worldwide. We'll just be over here, waiting for something real while the world keeps spinning in circles. The next video in the series, we'll talk about the nuances of how the media keeps us stuck in a never-ending loop of performative sexuality. Stay tuned, or don't, I'll be watching either way. And that's the real talk, darling. Moi, ciao.